in children's hands, to darts that can puncture your skull, and the ever-hungry doll that needs hair and fingers. Today we're going to take a look at the 15 banned kids' toys you can't buy anymore. Stay tuned until the end of the video for some of the most dangerous toys that have been banned. Let's get started with number 15, Sky Dancers. Sky dancers are undoubtedly familiar to everyone who grew up in the 1990s. These flying fairies seem to be more menacing than they appear. Place the doll on the base, pretend to start a push lawnmower, and there you have it. You've thrown a spinning propeller into the air, which will fly in unpredictable directions. Yes, it fired off in random directions, and it was effortless for it to launch into people's faces accidentally. Galoob Toys Inc. banned these playthings for good reason after 150 reports of injuries, damaged organs, fractured teeth, facial lacerations, and even a slight concussion. Crazy, right? Wait until you hear about the Snack Time Cabbage Patch Kid. Moving on to number 14, Splash Off Water Rockets. On the one hand, the Splash Off Water Rocket was not a bad toy if you were trying to depict the dangers of science realistically. On the other hand, it was a wrong choice if you didn't want to learn a painful lesson about over-pressurizing plastic containers and products made by the lowest bidder. The toy wasn't always produced using high-quality materials, and the plastic would occasionally rupture. And it hit the kids playing with the toy, well, any a fun time. Number 13, Aqua Leisure Baby Boat. It's a terrible scenario. You put a kid in a pool float to keep them safe, only for them to vanish into the water. These inflated water toys failed to achieve the one thing they were designed to accomplish: keep kids afloat. The shoddy plastic material would often rip, and babies would plop right into the water. Although it later came to light that Aqua knew about the problem, the company did not recall the product until at least 30 drowning deaths. As you can imagine, the company behind them got into great trouble. Sounds horrible. Wait for the toy that can blow your fingers off. Number 12, Super Blast Balls. Did you ever have a pair of these? Super big blast balls do exactly what they sound like. They make thunderous noises. How do they work? They're two colorful balls that kids could smack together to hear a jump out of your skin noise and occasionally see some sparks. That's it. Now it's ribbons that they sound. They were only on the market for a short time before first complaints of burn injuries and clothes catching fire arose. A toy that allows children to fire caps from their hands is surprising to me. Number 11, Belt Buckle Derringer Toy Gun. Every little boy's Christmas list in 1959 included this toy. It did, however, pack a punch in the gut. This belt buckle gun would shoot a toy bullet in half when the user extends his stomach unworn around the waist. Now, it didn't fire shots, nor were objects projected, but a flame was. If you guessed it, the cap could catch fire. Unfortunately for wannabe cowboys, the caps could be set off accidentally by friction and cause severe burns. This is definitely not something you want around your nether regions. If you think that was crazy, wait till you hear about the doll that can eat hair. Number 10, Easy Bake Oven. Every little girl dreamed of having an easy bake oven. Who doesn't want to bake cookies and cakes on their own in their tiny oven? One of the most significant dangers of owning an easy bake was that it became hot enough that children may and did injure themselves. Little fingers were readily stuck in these ovens, which resulted in severe burns. This is clearly a tragic waiting to happen, mainly because the ovens might reach temperatures of up to 200 degrees Celsius. There were approximately 250 instances reported, with children suffering from second and third degree burns in 16 of them. One 5-year-old had to have a part of her finger removed. Number 9, CSI Fingerprint Examiner. While it's a little disturbing to see youngsters playing with toy forensic investigation kits designed to simulate collecting evidence at a murder scene, it's all in good fun. The toy was inspired by the CBS show CSI. The gadget allowed children to collect evidence while wearing latex gloves. Dusting for fingerprints was one of the more fun parts. However, the dust had a little more than non-toxic substances. It contained one of the deadliest forms of asbestos. The powder contained 7% asbestos, which can cause lung cancer later in life if one is exposed to it even once. The company ended up going bankrupt due to this significant error. Stay tuned for the Snack Time Cabbage Patch Kid. Number 8, the Yo-Yo Water Ball. Imagine attempting to create a genuinely safe toy and failing miserably. The Yo-Yo Water Ball is that. How can something like a toy be dangerous? After all, it's soft. Not only did yo-yo water balls contain questionable materials, but their design was potentially dangerous. According to Little Things, it used flammable diesel hydrocarbons to make it. There have been over 400 cases of near strangulation reported with the use of the yo-yo ball. Its cord was getting wrapped around the necks of kids, and in some cases causing them to black out. The cord material was somewhat sticky to make matters worse, making it difficult to release if it did get around the neck. Do you remember wanting or even owning one of these? Lucky you. Number 7, dive sticks. The idea behind the diving sticks was to toss them into the pool, let them sink, and then have the kids go in and collect them. These weren't just entertaining for the youngsters, but they also gave parents a few moments of peace as their kids spent more time beneath the water collecting them. How could something as seemingly harmless as a weighted stick be so dangerous? The trouble started with the materials from which it was made. Some of the products were made from hard plastic, which would stand up when they sank to the bottom of the pool. There were recalls in 1999 because kids supposedly got impaled and even had to have surgery for their injuries. Speaking of injuries, the number 1 toy in this video is pretty horrible too. Number 6, candy cigarettes. If you were a child during or before the 60s and early 70s, you might remember having plenty of access to these guys. No one can disagree that the name right off the bat is a bad idea. Candy cigarettes were candy made to resemble packs of cigarettes and were made of either chalky sugar, bubblegum, or chocolate. Some even had powdered sugar at the tip so that you could blow through the candy stick and make it look like it was smoke. You could probably already see the problem with these. The branding was used on the candy packets, the perfect way for kids to mirror exactly what the grown-ups were doing. Number 5, innocent looking but secretly evil Teletubby. It's all based on the character from the children's television show Teletubbies. And what could be safer than a Teletubby? Though this talking doll never injured any child physically, it was removed from the shelves in 1998, the same year it was released. No one suspected an adorable Teletubby toy of speaking the questionable language. Parents weren't too happy to learn what their child's doll was teaching them. They heard the doll say inappropriate things, including "bite my butt" and other phrases unsuitable for children. Not a toy you'd want to get for your kid, right? Number 4, fidget spinner. Have you managed to get your hands on a fidget spinner? The brightly colored device, which can be spun, flipped, and even tossed with one hand, has started making its way into classrooms around the country. If you've not heard of them, fidget spinners are little handheld gadgets initially designed to help children with autism and ADHD concentrate at school. The idea behind them is that as children spin and flip them, they can focus more clearly on the words they're hearing and the lesson they're in. Many schools have fought back against the gadgets some say are distracting and potentially harmful. The dangers of fidget spinners aren't just limited to annoying teachers and frustrating parents. Parents have reported chipped teeth, cuts, bruises, and damaged property. Not to forget the trend of duct taping razor blades to the spinner spokes, a clear no-no on any sane person's list. Number 3, aquadots. Arrange tiny beads, sprigs with water, and your design will fuse together. Sounds fun, right? One of 2007's more popular toys, aquadots, were small, colorful beads arranged into different designs and then permanently set in water sprinklers. The water activated a glue beads covering, fusing them together. Although the beads appeared harmless, complaints quickly emerged of toddlers vomiting and collapsing into comas after ingesting them. Now, what's the reason behind this? Because scientists discovered that the glue included ingredients that converted into the date-rape drug gamma hydroxybutyrate. Some unlucky children suffered seizures, with 2 of them in the US slipping into comas due to eating the beads. Number 2, lawn darts. It doesn't take much imagination to see why steel missiles with weighted skewers could make for a dangerous toy. What could possibly go wrong with heavy metal darts with a very sharp tip at the end? Lawn darts, or jarts, were giant plastic darts with weighted and sharpened metal tips that kids were supposed to throw into plastic hoops on the lawn, a sort of hybrid between darts and horseshoes. The darts are meant to be grasped by the rod and launched underhand towards the target, but they can cause skull punctures and other serious injuries. If you think that sounds dangerous, the US government agrees with you. They were banned in the US after 6,100 people were sent to the emergency room for the injuries they caused. It didn't take much time before the dark side of lawn darts reared its ugly, pierced head. Now we move on to the moment you've all been waiting for. Number 1, Snack Time Cabbage Patch Kid. It's all fun and games until someone loses a finger. Wait, what? The Cabbage Patch Kids were huge in the 80s. that came with their own adoption certificates and famously squishy bodies seemed so harmless. The Snack Time Kid had a motorized mouth that would munch down on plastic goodies fed to it. Unfortunately, the doll couldn't differentiate between plastic and human. It didn't take long for little fingers to get caught up in the action. Another victim of this ever-hungry doll was hair. Also, there was no way to turn it off since the toy had no switch. Once something got into the Snack Time Kid, it was going to keep going. This real-life garbage pail kid nightmare was eventually pulled from the shelves once enough lawsuits made it clear that it had an insatiable and unsafe craving for the flesh of children. Subscribe and we'll see you in the next episode of Stay Wise.